Everybody, Tashina Gonzalez here, and I am here to talk to you about cleansing limited beliefs. And I actually did a lot of research. I listened to tons of YouTube on this. I have an article that I'm referencing from Psychology Today, from a PhD, so I may do a lot of reading to this. But I got tons of good information, and I'm super excited about what I have to share with you guys. So I just want to start out with a quote of why this is so important from Abraham Lincoln. The best way to predict the future is to create it. That's what we have to do. And we create that first in our mind, and then that's manifested into the world. So hopefully you guys saw the post that Kim did about limiting beliefs. If you haven't, so that you get a clear idea of what they are, definitely read that. It was an awesome post. But how do you know if you have limiting beliefs? So some questions that you can ask yourself is, what are the results you've produced in the various areas of your life? And where are your results not in alignment with what you really want to be, do, or have? And what area of your life have you really tried to improve, but no matter what, things just didn't get any better? Those are the places that your limiting decisions are hiding out, because you're not producing the results that you say all the time that you want. And all of us have limiting beliefs. Every single one of us have limiting beliefs. It doesn't matter what personality, it doesn't matter how successful we appear on the outside to other people. We all have limiting beliefs. So your limiting decisions have shaped everything you do. They usually come from when you're about born to about 6 years old. Some of us had really horrible childhoods, and we had lots of stuff to overcome. And some of us, it's just a simple fact that the world is not always nice. We hear no over and over again. We get pushed on the playground. We look a little bit different, and all of those things affect us and create limiting beliefs in us. And those limiting beliefs have prevented us from seeing opportunities, and maybe even discouraged us at times from trying at all. So in order to move forward, to not feel stuck, to not keep saying we want certain things and being in the same place year after year, whether that's in the area of fitness, whether that's in the area of finances, whether that's in the area of relationships, is to bring those limiting beliefs out of hiding and make them conscious, because most of them exist in our subconscious. And they can be really hard to identify, but we all have them. We all have things that we were influenced, and they're only beliefs, but we accept them as truth. So one of the things that I watched today was super cool, that explained to us how we can have some influence that can change something incorrectly. So I want you guys that are watching me right now to close your eyes, and I want you to think of a completely white room. You have white clothes on, everything's white in the room. It's a little bit cold in that room. Keep your eyes closed and focusing on that. And what you have on is silk. Concentrate on that and say, silk, 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 silk. Now, answer the question. What do cows drink? So, I was listening to someone that did that, and of course, from the influence of what was said in that and what you thought of, the first thing that popped into my head, the answer that I said, was milk. But that's what cows produce. It is not water, is what they drink. And that's what happens. We get influenced by this negativity, and then we give the wrong answers, and we think certain things that are truths when there's only beliefs. So, again, it's really hard at times to identify them, but you have to think about what you tend to say or think or reason when it comes to that area. So if it's in the area of relationships, you may say things like, women only want men who want a lot of money, guys are only interested in younger women. If it's in the area of finance, you may say things like, I never have any money, I'm always broke. So you have to identify what those are. And these beliefs are going to sound true to you. So it can be very hard because it will sound perfectly reasonable and valid, and you can actually even come up for evidence supporting it, but it's still a belief that is getting in the way of what you want. So, unless you're willing to totally give it up, cleanse it from your life, you won't get your goals and your desires. Sometimes the limiting decisions are not even conscious. Maybe you've learned to squelch your negative talk, your negative thoughts before they get revved up, and you've gotten good at positive self-talk. So you don't hear any limiting beliefs in your head, but you'll know that you still have limiting decision lurking if your emotions are negative about that area. And that's where I tend to live and reside. And part of my personality, being that I am a red-green questioner, what comes out of my mouth, and one of the things that when you're trying to create good habits for a questioner that you have to be aware of is a thing called loopholing. Because what comes out of my mouth is seldom emotional. It's a fact that exists in the world, and I use that fact to state why I cannot do something. And then I take that as reality. But what you have to do is you have to dig deeper into what those emotions are. For example, for me, that's how I was when it came to sharing in Spanish. I am 100% bilingual in Spanish. I've been speaking Spanish for over 20 years. I give Bible studies in Spanish. I give parts in Spanish. I run conference calls in Spanish for GM. I travel to Mexico. And yet, when it came to sharing with Young Living in Spanish, I couldn't do it for 2 years. I could not do it. I refused to do it. And I thought I had logical reasons for it. I would say things like, well, I can't remember how to say rosemary. There's no way that I can really promote thieves if I can't remember how to say rosemary. Oh, we don't have any tools. If I'll wait for Young Living to come out with more tools for me. Well, I can't do it because what if I have to read everything, and that's not going to be authentic, and no one's going to want to pay attention to me. And so all of those things were partially true, but the reality is that was coming from my limiting beliefs that I can't perform. If I can't perform something near perfection, then I should not do it. Or my belief that I'm not good enough because, I've been speaking Spanish for 20 years, but I haven't been speaking it since birth, so it should be somebody else. And while I held on to those limiting beliefs and defended them over and over again, Claudia Dos Amantes went diamond, and my girl, I can't remember. Susanna Armstrong went diamond in the same situation, right? So they got over those limiting beliefs, and now I've been sharing for the past 2 years in Spanish. So you have to dig, you have to ask your question, why do you feel that way? Why do you feel that way? You have to go through the 5 why process, dig and get to the emotions. And when you get to the emotions, that's where you'll find your limiting belief. So if you're bogged down with financial pressures, you need to ask yourself, how do I feel about it? Do you feel anxious, angry, hopeless? And then you stay with that emotion and acknowledge it, and that's where you'll find your limiting belief at. If you have anxiety and it's anger, then it might be hopelessness, or I'm not strong enough or smart enough to do a certain thing. So once we find, yes, I have a limiting belief. I've been trying to do this when it comes to my finances for this amount of time and it hasn't happened. How do we cleanse those? How do we clear those out of our lives? So the first thing that you need to do is you need to write the limiting belief down. Again, we tend to bury them. We tend to think in our head that what we're saying is logical and it's real and it's truth. So we need to clearly write down what that limiting belief is. We have to play detective, follow our thoughts and emotions, and discover that limiting belief that's holding us back, put them on paper, and stare them in the face. You may not even realize how strong they were. For me, once I finally got to the point, you know, I didn't realize I've done so much work to get rid of perfectionism. I've done so much work to be positive and to have a go-getter attitude. Like, it was so buried that when it finally was clear this was a limiting belief, it was very like, wow, I'm still struggling with perfectionism. So you got to write that down, see how strong it is, and feel those emotions. Step 2 is for you to acknowledge that these are beliefs. They're not truths. And this is the hardest step, right? Because to us, our limitations are real. We feel them. That emotion is so strong for us that, like, we really want to hold on to it and defend it. That's how I was. So this is where you have to make a conscious choice. You have to go against your subconscious beliefs. Are you more interested in defending your limitations to the death or achieving your goals and desires? When we argue for our limitations, we get to keep them, but we don't get to get to our goals. So then you need to try on a different belief. So use your imagination and try on a belief that is aligned with what you want. It may be something like, my financial difficulties are in the past, have taught me so much that I'm fully prepared to handle them now. Or, now that I have been in an unhealthy relationship, I've learned what to look for in a happy, loving partner. Or, like in my case, my limiting belief when I didn't want to share in Spanish, there's so many people out there that need this information, and there's so many people that don't want to share. I have to be the first and be the example. So we have to get a different belief than the limiting one that was holding us back. So the most important part, though, is to go beyond just saying it. You really want to step into this new belief and feel how it feels. You can do that by, like, visualization, visualizing, you know, what you need to do to accomplish that. If you do steps 2 and 3 the right way, it will go a long way in dismantling your old limiting decision. And then step 4 is to take a different action. So this is going to be super hard because you're going to do the opposite of what your beliefs are. So you're going to have to act even though you fear. You're going to have to act even though you feel shameful sometimes. You're going to have to act even though you think no one really wants to listen to you. So it's going to feel scary, but you have to act like the new belief is true. If you are really the kind of person that deserves better finances, you have to behave like you already have them. If you do that, that's when they will come. If you really are capable and have learned a tremendous amount from your financial difficulties, you have to take the steps that show that. If you're really the kind of person that wants to eat healthy food, you have to put the right things in your grocery cart. You have to stop going to the fast food joints. So, if you avoid taking any steps based on your new belief, you will just continue to feed your old limiting belief. So the action portion on a daily, weekly basis is really like the nail in the coffin to make sure that you cleanse those limiting beliefs out. So taking action, even in the smallest step, will help you solidify your new unlimiting decision. Your first steps don't have to be perfect. They don't have to be big. They just have to be headed in the right direction. And be sure to acknowledge yourself and congratulate yourself and celebrate when you've taken that step. Maybe when it comes to your business, you know, you only did a certain amount. You didn't get the exact results you wanted, but you did the first thing. Celebrate, congratulate, tell people about it, and keep doing those steps. And each time you do, you'll get better and better. So some of the things that can help with this is daily affirmations. So daily affirmations is something that's super important because you're reprogramming your mind for what you want. Another thing, if like you're saying the affirmations and you can feel your mind fighting, is power posing when you do it. The other thing is obviously oils. Give me 1 second because I forgot to bring my oils over here. Let me see if I can grab them right quick. Right quick. Okay. Yeah, this is the thing that has my emotional oil. Sorry about that, guys. I should have had this over here. So yeah, we have tons of oils that can help us with this stuff, right? So you work a job, you have kids, it's really difficult for you to build your business. You don't want to do all the things, but you got to do the things for the next 2 to 4 years. You got to make time for Young Living. So what do we pull out? We pull out energy. I have abundant energy. I have abundant energy. Combine those positive affirmations with the powerful oils that we have, and we can go super, super far in breaking through those limiting beliefs. Some of the other oils that we're going to use, Valor, right? I have the courage to handle this day. I have the courage to handle that thing. That will help us if we're feeling overwhelmed, negative. I release all negative emotions. So many oils that we have that can just help us. Maybe we tend to be shy. We tend to be introverted. We can use something like gathering. I am celebrated everywhere I go. People want to gather around me. And then if we're working on our finances, we can have things like, oh, I thought I had it over here. I thought I had finance over here somewhere. I have so many oils over here because I just got an order and I opened it up. But we have finance. We have, I do have fitness. We have fitness. We're working out. We have finance. We have abundance. So use our oils to solidify with those affirmations our new beliefs. So that is what I want to share with you guys. I hope it was helpful. I know it's super late, but I hope, like I said, I did a lot of research on this, watched a lot of stuff. This is information that's coming from psychologists and PhDs and people that actually train in this. So guys, do some work, do some inner work. A couple of things I wanted to suggest to listen to. As a Man Thinketh. You can get it as an audiobook. It's only an hour. You probably can just find it on YouTube too. The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. It'll go into more about how your thoughts create your reality. What you think about today is what's going to be in your future. And so that's why it's so important to cleanse these limiting beliefs. All right, guys, you are worthy. You are amazing. You are awesome. You are a diamond in the rough. You are a diamond rising. So let's cleanse these limiting beliefs, move forward, and live in abundance. Thanks, guys. Bye.